The sound of the automatic doors opening echoed as an elderly man stepped into the hospital lobby. He wore an old military uniform, his back slightly hunched, and his frail steps somehow caught the attention of those around him. St. Mary's Hospital in London was bustling as usual. A long line stretched in front of the reception desk, and patients carrying varying degrees of pain sat with their ticket numbers, waiting. 92-year-old Samuel Thompson slowly made his way to the reception. His eyes were sharp, but his wrinkled hands trembled slightly. Removing his old military hat and holding it to his chest, he finally stood before the desk. "What brings you here today?" a young female staff member asked curtly, her eyes fixed on the computer screen. "I've come for a consultation." Samuel's voice was quiet but firm. "Please show me your ID." Samuel pulled out an old identification card from his pocket and handed it over. The staff member took it, entering the information into the computer. A few seconds later, her expression changed. "You're not registered as a veteran. You can't receive treatment here." Samuel's eyes wavered, but he calmly replied, "I fought in the Korean War. There must be a record." "Please confirm your veteran status with the Veterans Affairs Office and return." The staff member's tone grew more rigid. People around glanced at each other. "Another one trying to claim benefits without records," someone whispered, loud enough for Samuel to hear, but he just bowed his head and slowly turned away. Just then, Dr. William Carter, the 58-year-old hospital director, descended from the second floor and noticed the situation in the lobby. Initially intending to walk past, something about the old man's silhouette in the military uniform seemed familiar and slightly alarming. Dr. Carter paused, a thought forming in his mind. The staff's indifferent attitude contrasted sharply with the elderly man's bent shoulders. Drawn by an inexplicable feeling, he approached the reception desk. "What happened here?" he inquired. "Oh, Director Carter, this gentleman wanted a consultation, but there's no record of him being a veteran," the staff member explained. Dr. Carter nodded, though an uneasy feeling lingered. "Where did the old gentleman go?" "He just left. The one in the old military uniform." Dr. Carter suddenly recalled the old man's eyes, deep, resilient, yet carrying a hint of sorrow. And the uniform, it was from the Korean War era, a genuine artifact rarely seen nowadays. "What was his name?" Dr. Carter asked again. "Samuel Thompson," she replied. That name stirred a vague memory in Dr. Carter's mind. During his medical school days, he had come across war photographs in the archives, heroes of the Battle of White Horse Hill. There had been a Sergeant Samuel Thompson among them, he thought. Dr. Carter felt an instinctive urge that something important was being overlooked. He quickly left the desk and headed towards the hospital exit. He scanned the plaza outside the hospital, spotting the old man slowly moving away. With urgency, Dr. Carter called out, "Mr. Thompson, please wait!" The old man halted his steps. When Samuel turned around, Dr. Carter saw in his eyes a confirmation of something significant. These were not just the eyes of an elderly man. They held the depth of a soul that had seen countless battlefields. "Excuse me, but did you serve in the Battle of White Horse Hill?" Dr. Carter's question made Samuel's eyes flicker. After a brief silence, he softly answered, "How do you know about that?" Dr. Carter's heart sank as memories from his past became clearer. Faces and stories from old war records and photographs revisited him. "During my medical school days, I did research on war injuries and came across stories of Sergeant Samuel Thompson," Dr. Carter explained. Samuel's stern expression eased slightly. "I thought I was the only one who remembered those days." Dr. Carter gently took the old man's arm. "Let's head back to the hospital. I'll personally see to everything." As they re-entered the lobby, the reception staff wore puzzled expressions. "This gentleman is a special case," Dr. Carter stated firmly. "Prepare a temporary chart under my responsibility." The staff, caught off guard, nodded. "Yes, Director." Dr. Carter seated Samuel in the waiting area and then headed straight to the hospital's basement archives, where old documents were stored. Recalling his past experiences, He found the drawer containing the roster of Korean War veterans and began searching through the dusty files with urgency. Finally, he uncovered a yellowed file titled Battle of White Horse Hill, Participating Units. As he turned the pages, Dr. Carter stopped breathing for a moment. There it was, a black and white photograph accompanied by records. Sergeant Samuel Thompson rescued his entire company during the Korean War battle before going missing. Beside the record was a picture of a young Sergeant Thompson. Though his face was now lined with age, the eyes were unmistakably the same. Dr. Carter's heart raced. Clutching the file, he hurried back to the elevator, his mind a whirl of questions. A veteran missing for 70 years had returned. Where had he been all this time? Why had he come to the hospital now? As the elevator doors opened, Dr. Carter made his way to the waiting room where Samuel sat quietly, gazing out the window. His clear eyes held the depth of time. "Mr. Thompson," Dr. Carter called out with a trembling voice. "You truly are him, aren't you? The hero from White Horse Hill who went missing after saving his company." Tears welled in Samuel's eyes. "I've only returned with white hair." For a moment, Dr. Carter was lost for words, standing before a living piece of history. Samuel's simple admission seemed to draw him into a past era. The Battle of White Horse Hill, the intense battlefield where he had saved his company and then disappeared, now sat quietly before him. "Mr. Thompson, all records have you listed as missing. Where have you been all this time?" Dr. Carter's voice was filled with reverence. Samuel sighed deeply. "I was captured by the Chinese forces and taken to Siberia. Spent decades there, only escaping after the Soviet Union collapsed. But I never thought I'd have a place to return to." Dr. Carter's chest tightened. 70 years. What had life been like for a veteran longing for home all that time? "When did you return to England?" Dr. Carter asked gently. "A month ago. The British Embassy in Russia helped me return, but I have no way to prove my existence, just my name and memories." Samuel's voice grew quieter. Dr. Carter rose, as if making a solemn decision. "Please wait here. There's something I need to do." He looked around and called over a nurse. "Nurse Parker, please escort Mr. Thompson to a special consultation room and prioritize his health checkup." Though puzzled, the nurse nodded at the director's serious expression. "Yes, Director." Dr. Carter immediately headed to his office. Once there, he picked up the hospital's public address system microphone. He hesitated briefly, but pressed the button with a determined look. "May I have your attention, please? We have a special guest in our hospital today." His voice resonated throughout the hospital. "Mr. Samuel Thompson, a hero from the Battle of White Horse Hill during the Korean War, has visited us." Staff and patients all tuned in to the announcement, expressions of curiosity and surprise on their faces. He was captured, taken to Siberia, and only recently returned to the UK. We failed to recognize him and treated him coldly. The reception staff in the lobby turned pale, realizing the elderly man they had dismissed was a war hero. Dr. Carter's tone grew firmer. "The purpose of this hospital is to serve people like him. Please ensure all medical services prioritize Mr. Thompson's care. And in 10 minutes, all staff should gather for an emergency meeting in the central conference room." As the announcement ended, murmurs spread throughout the hospital. Dr. Carter took a deep breath and stood up. From his drawer, he retrieved an old medical journal containing his student thesis on war and post-traumatic stress disorder, recalling how he'd referenced the Battle of White Horse Hill and Sergeant Thompson's story. With the journal in hand, he headed to the meeting room. Staff members were gathering from all corners of the hospital, their expressions a mix of curiosity, surprise, and a touch of shame. The meeting room quickly filled to capacity, with more attendees than usual, leaving some standing against the walls. The air was thick with murmurs and tension. As Dr. Carter entered, silence fell. He stepped onto the podium, clearing his throat. In his hands, he held the old thesis and the file he'd discovered. "Ladies and gentlemen, what happened today in our hospital is no mere coincidence." His voice was calm yet powerful. It serves as a reminder of what we've forgotten. He held up the file for all to see. This is Sergeant Samuel Thompson. During the Korean War, amid the enemy's onslaught, he rescued 12 injured soldiers and then went missing. At the time, all records presumed him dead. The room was silent, all eyes fixed on the old photograph in Dr. Carter's hand. Yet today, he walked into our hospital as an elderly man, and how did we respond? A moment of silence passed, and the faces of the reception staff reddened. Dr. Carter did not directly blame them. We ignored him in the name of systems and procedures. Despite being a hospital dedicated to veterans, we failed to recognize a true veteran. Dr. Carter opened his thesis. During my medical studies, the story of Sergeant Thompson left a profound impact on me. His selflessness in risking his life for his comrades embodies the very spirit a doctor should possess. He continued, turning pages. Sergeant Thompson returned to the hill after the final evacuation order, insisting his men were still there. He carried 12 injured soldiers down one by one. After laying down the last soldier, he went back up the hill and was never seen again. Tears welled in the eyes of many healthcare workers in the meeting room. Older doctors and nurses bowed their heads, wiping away their tears. He was taken as a POW by the Chinese forces, sent to Siberia, and spent 70 years longing for home. It was only a month ago, with the help of the British Embassy in Russia, that he returned. Dr. Carter's voice trembled slightly. Now we all know what we must do. We must provide Mr. Thompson with the highest level of care and attention. More importantly, we must improve our systems to ensure this never happens again. He pulled a note from his pocket and unfolded it. Starting today, we will implement a system to honor unsung heroes. Even if the records are unclear, we will give priority to elderly veterans claiming service and verify records later. The meeting room was filled with murmurs of agreement. Dr. William Johnson, the hospital director, added, "Let's go and greet Mr. Samuel Brown, who's in the special ward. It's time to show him our sincere apologies and respect." The staff rose from their seats. Led by Dr. Johnson, a long procession quietly moved towards the special ward. Employees throughout the hospital joined in one by one, having heard the announcement. The procession swelled to about 30 people, and a solemn atmosphere filled the long corridor. Upon reaching the special ward, Dr. Johnson knocked gently. "Let's go in." As he opened the door, they found Mr. Samuel Brown sitting by the window, gazing outside. The sunlight highlighted his silver hair, making it shine. Hearing the door, Mr. Brown turned and looked surprised to see so many people gathered. His eyes showed a hint of confusion. "Mr. Brown, the hospital staff have come to greet you," Dr. Johnson said politely. Mr. Brown slowly stood, but Dr. Johnson rushed to support him. "You can remain seated, sir." However, Mr. Brown shook his head. A soldier must maintain his dignity. His voice still carried the authority of a sergeant from 70 years ago. The staff behind Dr. Johnson bowed their heads in respect. The receptionist, who had turned Mr. Brown away earlier, stepped forward with teary eyes. "I'm truly sorry, sir. I was disrespectful," she said, her voice trembling. Mr. Brown smiled gently. "It's all right. You were just doing your job." Dr. Johnson was deeply moved by Mr. Brown's grace, choosing understanding and forgiveness over anger or resentment. The staff felt the generosity of a veteran who had chosen to forgive. "Sir, from now on we'll do our best to provide you with a thorough health checkup," Dr. Johnson assured, pausing briefly before continuing. "And we'd like to record your story, if you don't mind." Mr. Brown pondered for a moment, emotions flitting across his lined face. "I don't know what value my story holds, but if it's for the comrades I fought with, I'd be okay with it." The staff were touched by his words. A man who had endured alone for 70 years still thought of his comrades first. Dr. Johnson, momentarily choked up, regained his professional composure. "Manager Kim, please assemble the comprehensive health check team. Dr. Lee, prepare the VIP room. Nurse Park, contact the nutrition team for a special diet for Mr. Brown. Each staff member quickly set to their tasks, and the hospital buzzed with energy, everyone eager to do their best for Mr. Brown. Watching the flurry of activity, Mr. Brown smiled quietly, tears forming at the corners of his eyes, unnoticed by others. They were tears of gratitude for being respected in his homeland once again. Dr. Johnson sat beside Mr. Brown and gently asked, "Do you have any family to contact, sir?" Mr. Brown slowly shook his head. "They're all gone. After I went missing, my wife must have remarried, and we had no children." A heavy silence ensued, weighing on Dr. Johnson's heart. That afternoon, the entire hospital revolved around Mr. Brown. Medical staff, usually indifferent due to their busy schedules, approached him, sharing stories of their grandfathers or relatives who had also fought in the Korean War. Mr. Brown's story spread throughout the hospital, stirring waves of emotion. Dr. Johnson personally checked Mr. Brown's health. His body bore old scars, bullet wounds near the ribs, a deep scar on his left thigh, and marks on his back suggesting torture. Seeing these, Dr. Johnson's eyes welled up. "These injuries must have been painful," he remarked carefully. Mr. Brown replied calmly, "The longing for home hurt more than any physical wound. Every night, I dreamt of the Thames." After the examination, Mr. Brown was guided to the VIP room, where he marveled quietly at the modern medical equipment and pristine facilities. "The country has come a long way," he murmured. Upon reaching the VIP room, Dr. Johnson bowed to Mr. Brown. "Sir, we'll do our utmost to care for you. Please let us know if you need anything." Mr. Brown nodded and entered the room, where the expansive window offered a sweeping view of London. Approaching the window, he gazed long at the city's skyline, so different from 70 years ago. That evening, Dr. Johnson visited Mr. Brown again, bringing a laptop. "Sir, if you have the time, could you share your story? We'd like to inform the Veterans Office and have you officially recognized." Mr. Brown nodded after a moment's thought. "If that's something I can do." That night, Mr. Brown's story flowed. The fierce moments of the Battle of White Horse Hill, the painful times as a prisoner of the Chinese army, the long captivity in Siberia, and finally, the journey to freedom across borders. As Dr. Johnson recorded the tale, he struggled to hold back tears. "Why didn't you go to the Veterans Office first when you returned, sir?" he asked carefully. Mr. Brown smiled wistfully. "I did it first, but my name alone couldn't prove my identity. I had no documents or witnesses. I visited a few more offices, but the result was the same. Eventually, I came here, hoping at least a hospital would care for an ailing old man." Dr. Johnson's heart ached. Someone who had sacrificed everything for his country was met with cold indifference by the very nation he served. "Don't worry anymore, sir. I'll personally contact the Veterans Office and assist with all the procedures. The battle records and the hospital's verification should suffice." Gratitude shone in Mr. Brown's eyes. "Thank you, Dr. Johnson. What I truly wanted was not recognition or benefits, but someone to listen to my story." At that moment, Dr. Johnson realized that sometimes listening and acknowledgement could be more healing than medical treatment. The following morning, the hospital buzzed with an unusual energy. Word of Mr. Brown's story spread quickly, reaching many staff and patients alike, with even some local media requesting interviews. Dr. Johnson managed the situation carefully, ensuring Mr. Brown wouldn't feel uncomfortable. "Sir, many people are interested in hearing your story, but if you don't wish to, we can decline all requests," he said during morning rounds. Mr. Brown pondered for a moment, pointing to the modernized London skyline through the window with his wrinkled fingers. "This is why I fought for this country, a future where descendants can live in peace. If my story holds any meaning for someone, I'd like to share it." Dr. Johnson was deeply moved, sensing the nobility in Mr. Brown's heart, still considering the country even after 70 years of hardship. That afternoon, a small press conference was held in the hospital auditorium. Supported by Dr. Johnson, Mr. Brown ascended the stage, momentarily startled by the camera's flashes, but soon regaining his soldierly composure. Mr. Brown is a living hero who rescued 12 comrades during the Battle of White Horse Hill in the Korean War and went missing, only to return 70 years later, Dr. Johnson introduced him. Yesterday, our hospital failed to recognize him, to our shame. Now, we aim to honor him properly. As journalists asked questions, Mr. Brown shared his story slowly, recounting the hardships of captivity, the long years in Siberia, and his longing for home. "What was the hardest moment?" a reporter asked. Mr. Brown took a deep breath. "Watching my comrades die one by one. The cold, hunger, and torture took them, and I could do nothing but promise to tell their stories if I ever returned." The room was enveloped in a somber atmosphere, even the journalists pausing in silence. Dr. Johnson gently placed a hand on Mr. Brown's shoulder. "Sir, you've said enough. You need rest." But Mr. Brown shook his head. "No, Dr. Johnson, this isn't just my story. It's the story of all my comrades who fought and never returned. I want to be their voice as long as I live." After the conference, Mr. Brown returned to his room, sitting by the window. His expression was brighter than the day before, a sense of peace, as if a long-held burden had lifted. Dr. Johnson entered quietly, sitting beside him. "Sir, the Veterans Office contacted us today. They've recognized your status and contributions and will proceed with your official registration as a national veteran." Tears welled in Mr. Brown's eyes as he held Dr. Johnson's hand tightly. "It feels like this country is all right after all." Dr. Johnson's eyes also grew moist. "It's I who should thank you, sir." A week later, Mr. Brown's health check was complete. Despite his age, his health was remarkably good, possibly due to the strength built through years of hardship. The Veterans Office officially registered him as a national veteran, with government support decided. A small apartment was provided, along with living expenses and medical support. After 70 years, the country began to repay its debt to him. As the discharge date approached, the hospital made special preparations. Dr. Johnson, along with the entire staff, planned a small farewell ceremony, not just marking a patient's discharge, but honoring a hero. "Sir, how do you feel about being discharged tomorrow?" Dr. Johnson asked during the last checkup. Mr. Brown gazed out the window briefly before answering. "Strangely excited. It feels like I'm finally starting my real life." Dr. Johnson sensed the profound meaning in his words, understanding that after 70 years, he was about to live freely, no longer a captive in a foreign land. The next morning, an unprecedented scene unfolded in the hospital lobby. Doctors, nurses, administrative staff, and even other patients lined up in 2 rows. As Mr. Brown stepped off the elevator, everyone saluted him. Mr. Brown was taken aback, pausing to look around. Though his body leaned on a cane, his eyes remained resolute. Dr. Johnson stepped forward, shaking Mr. Brown's hand. "Thank you for coming to our hospital, sir. You've taught us all something important." Mr. Brown nodded. "Dr. Johnson, without you, I would have remained an unnamed old man wandering the streets. Thank you." The two of them exchanged a look of deep understanding, a human bond that transcended generations and experiences. Mr. William Johnson slowly made his way across the lobby towards the exit. As he passed by the people saluting, tears welled up in many eyes. It wasn't mere sentimentality, but a true expression of respect. When he reached the hospital exit, Mr. Johnson turned back for one last look and gave a soldier's salute. In that moment, everyone responded with even more solemn salutes. Dr. James Brown, the hospital director, bid him farewell and spoke in a low voice. "Sir, we have officially implemented a system here at St. Mary's Hospital to honor unsung heroes. From now on, any claiming to be a veteran will receive priority treatment and will verify records afterward." A smile touched Mr. Johnson's eyes. "The best changes begin in people's hearts. Dr. Brown, you've led that change," he said. Mr. Johnson looked up one last time at the clear autumn sky stretching over New York City. Perhaps in his mind, he overlapped it with the sky he had seen 70 years ago with his comrades. "I've returned, my friends," he murmured softly. Dr. Brown watched as Mr. Johnson slowly got into a taxi. As the taxi drove away, a deep realization settled in his heart. Sometimes, behind the ordinary faces we pass by without a thought, lie great stories. And true heroes are recognized not by flashy medals, but by the quiet traces of sacrifice. The hospital returned to its routine, but something fundamental had changed. A new notice about priority treatment for veterans was displayed at the reception desk, and a small exhibit telling Mr. Johnson's story was set up in the lobby. Above all, a profound lesson was engraved in the hearts of all the staff. Living history, his footsteps are our pride.